Hey there, this is TechDev. We've got awesome tutorials for you. Watch out now!
Hey there, this is our second refactor UI video, and we're refactoring our login UI 2, which was designed by Vijay Bhuva. In our first step, we're going to cut out all stateless login UI widget from our main.dat file, create a login.dat file, and paste our login UI widget there. So what are we going to do? We're going to create a login.dat file, and we're going to import our material.dat file as well. Then we're going to cut a login UI widget from our main.dat file and we're going to paste it in our login.dat file. Yep. And we have to make the necessary import in our main.dat file and delete our signup.dat import because it's not needed in our main.dat file. We go back to our login.dat file and make the necessary import there, which is importing our signup.dat file so that we can reference our signup widget. Good. So now everything's working perfectly. So what we're going to do next, we're going to create a components folder, extract the code that implements our logo as a widget from our login.dat file. We create a logo.dat file in our components folder and then paste our code there. So in our components folder, which we just created, we're going to extract our logo code as a widget and name it logo comp. Then in our components folder, we create a logo.dart file, import our material.dart, and then go back to our login.dart file, locate our widget, which is our logo comp widget. We cut it and we paste it in our logo.dart file. Good. We make the necessary import in our login.dart file, which is importing our logo.dart from our components folder. So the third step is to extract the code that implements our input area as a widget from our login.dart file, create a textful.dart file in our components folder and paste that code there. So we locate the code that implements our input area. Yep, that is this entire container. So we extract that as a widget and then name it text field comp. That's good. So we come down to our text field comp and then we cut it, create a textfield.dart file in our components folder. We import our material.dart, very important to note, and we paste our extracted widget. That's good. So we go back and then import that file into our login.dart file. Let's restart the app. Everything is working well. So we go back to our text field.dart and we create our final variables. That's our final string text and our final string hint text, and then we require them in our constructor. So we are doing this so that we wouldn't have a static text and a static hint text for every input area, but then we would have a dynamic one where we can use the text field comp constructor to get as many text field as we want, and then putting in our desired hint text and text, so that we don't get a static one where every text field becomes email and this email, but then whatever we put into our constructor is what we'll get out. So in this constructor, we set our text to email and our text hint to vijaybuva@gmail.com. We copy the same thing and paste it after our sized box, and in this case our text is password and our hint text is these dots right here. Good. Copy that and we paste it in our hint text for the password. So we have two text field component constructors, all from our text field.dart file, but with dynamic text and hint text where we set in our constructor. So we delete this extra code and voila, we've reduced the number of lines of code in our login.dart file, and everything works just perfectly. So let's input a text in our email and then in our password. So our password doesn't have to be visible, so we are going to set obscure text for our email as false, so that we see the text whenever we type in our email, and true for our password field, so that we do not see the text when we type it. And we go back to our text field.dart file and we require the obscure text. So we say require this dot obscure text, and then we create the final bool obscure text. Then we set our obscure text in our text field widget as obscure text. So let's see what happens to our password field. Nice, it's now obscure. We do not see the text we've typed in. Wonderful. Step 4, we extract the code that implements our flat button as a widget from our login.dart file. We create a flat button.dart file in our components folder, and we paste our flat button component into that file. So we've extracted our flat button component. We're going to cut this, create a flat button.dart file in our components folder. We import our material.dart file, very important, and we paste our flat button code. Also, to make our flat button dynamic, before we do that, let us make the necessary import of our flat button widget here. So we import that file into our login.dart file. And to make our flat button also dynamic, not keeping it always as sign in, login, what we're going to do is we're going to set our text there. So we create a final string text, and then we require it in our component, so that whenever we call the constructor, we can give it the desired text we want. Then we set our text here as text. So when we go back to our login.dart file, what we're going to do is we're going to set the text to login. And wow, we've got our text field. Sorry, we got our flat button. So in step 5, we extract the code that implements our footer area as a method from our login.dart file. we create a footer text.dat file in our components folder, and we paste our build footer text there. In this case, we're not going to extract our footer text as a widget, but rather as a method. So we try that one too. So we name it build footer text. Good. So we have it here. Now we cut that footer text from our login.dat file, create a footer text text.dat file, import our material.dart file, and then we paste that there. Let's save it. Good. So we go back. Well, let's also change our text to text, and then in our function, build footer text function, we add a string text to it so that we use it in our in our login.dat file. So in our login.dat file, we add don't have any account sign up text, and then we import our footer text.dat file into the login.dat so that we can use it. We're going to delete this sign up.dart import because it's not needed anymore here, because we've divided everything into components. So we have about 75 lines of code. Wow, that's great. So we extract the beginning of our code that implements our entire form as a widget from our login.dat, and then we create a main form.dat file in our components folder. We paste our main form component widget there to further reduce the number of lines of code in our login.dat file. So from this container, it implements everything we see, the entire from our login to our two input areas to our flat button and our footer area. So we extract it as a widget and name it main form component. So we're actually going to delete our media import or media from there, and then we create our main form.dat file in our components folder. We import material.dart and then paste it there. We make all necessary imports. That's our footer area import, our flat button import, our text field component import, and yep, that's it. So we're going to delete this required feature for our media, and then we set our final size media. So we say a media query of context dot size, so that we get the actual size, the entire size of our phone. So the height and width of the phone. Yep, so that's it. Go back to our login.dat file and then import our main form component. Delete this media import. Delete all these imports because they're not needed in this file anymore. And see, everything works perfectly. And the number of lines of code in our login.dat file have further been reduced to 26 lines. At first they were over 100 lines of code, but now they've been reduced to 26 lines. That's very great. So step 6, we move to our signup.dat file, refactor our code there, and we call the reusable text field widget component for all the input fields we find in our signup.dat file. So in our signup.dat file, we have 5 input areas, and you can just see a whole lot of lines of code, repeating codes for the same implementation. But in this case, we are going to use our text field component, which we extracted from our login.dat file, thereby helping us reuse the same code which we've written already by just calling its constructor. So when we call the text field component, we required the text, the hint text, and a boolean to check for obscure text. So our first text field component will take in the text email, the hint text Vijay, the first text to be first name, the hint text to be Vijay, and obscure text false. Then we do the same thing for our second text field, but in this case our text is last name and our hint text is Bhuva, still maintaining our obscure text as false. We paste the same thing, so let's delete this container here. Yes, and we paste the same thing after the size box, and in this case our hint text is email, and our text is email, and then our hint text is vijay.bhuva at gmail.com, maintaining our obscure text as false. We delete this container and then paste the same code after the size box again. Sorry, let's copy the text field implementation, copy this and paste it here. In this case our text is password and our hint text is these dots here. We copy this and we paste it in our hint text for the password, and then our obscure text in this case for password will be what? You guessed right, it should be true. Let's delete this container. Let's copy the text field for this, paste it after our sized box, change it to confirm password, and then change the obscure text. Let's delete our container first. Yep, all the way down here, deleted. Then we change our obscure text to true for confirm password and true for password. So we save it, that hot reloads it, and wow, all our fields work perfectly. And our password is obscure, and our confirm password is also obscure. Very nice. So our next thing we're going to do is we're going to call our reusable flat button component widget into our signup.dat file. So we do not need all those long lines of code that implemented our flat button here, because we've written it once and we can reuse it over and over again. So we call the flat button component widget with accept text. So in this case we'll use sign up for the text, because in our login.dat file we used login, but in this case we used sign up, and that's very efficient. And finally our text footer area to build footer text. It takes context because of the navigation, and then we copy our text from this long line of code, save and delete this container. Nice. So voila, we have 84 lines of code now, and we can further reduce it, yeah. There we go. And you see there's a problem. We click on a build footer text, it takes us to our sign up. So what we're going to do is we're going to create a string action in our build footer function, and in our gesture detector what we are going to say is we are going to check if the action is a pop. Well, let's check first. If the action is a push, then we push the context to our sign up page. But if the action is not push, what we're going to do is we're going to pop from the context. That's nice. So in our main form for the login, we set the action to push, and in our sign up.dat, our action is a pop. So when we click already have an account, sign in our sign up.dat file, our sign up screen, it pops us back to our login screen. So let's try it. And then pop, push, and pop. Great. So 8th step, we further extract the entire code that implements our sign up form as a widget. We create our main sign up.dat file in our components folder and paste that widget will create for the entire sign up form there. So we extract the entire container that holds the main form for the sign up screen. But then let's rename our main form.dat to main login form.dat. Then we create a main sign up form.dat as well. We import our material, and then we go to our sign up.dat file. Let's go to our main form components, change everything to main login form component, rename the one in the login.dat file as well. And then we go to our sign up.dat, extract the entire form as a widget and give it the name main sign up or main sign up form component or main sign up form. Yep. And then we cut the entire implementation of that, and our lines are reduced to 34. Then we paste it here. Then we make all necessary imports. So we import the footer text, we import our text field, and finally, what do we import? Let's see. We import our flat button. Yeah. And we're good. Everything is good. So we move back to our sign up.dat file, then import our main sign up form.dat file. And our lines have been reduced to 35 lines in our sign up.dat file. And everything works perfectly. So yeah, this is how we can refactor the codes we've written for this UI by Vijay Bhuva. Let's check our problems. Okay, there are some unused imports here. We delete them. We delete this one as well. And we have no problems anymore. That's good. So see you in our subsequent videos. Enjoy.